Mm. So the holidays are here, or the holidays are upon us. We're sitting right between Thanksgiving, which is a nice time of year, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. It's sometime before noon, it's some early December in some year. I'm drinking a hot toddy, at least that's what they used to call them up north. And used to have these when I was a kid, actually. You boil some Vernors. You bring Vernors ginger ale to a boil, and then you continue to let it boil slightly. You start with about 12 ounces, and then over 30, 40 minutes, it gradually reduces down to probably 8, I'm not really sure. You drop in a cinnamon stick into the actual pan while it continues to boil a little bit for the last few minutes or so. You keep it boiling until all the carbonation is gone. Then, back in the day, my parents would then take a little 7 Crown and put it in the bottom of the glass, and then top it off, and it's quite yummy. But I have a new discovery. I use this Fireball cinnamon whiskey, which obviously goes really well with the cinnamon stick. There's this one. So I think the cinnamon might be making my nose itch. I'm not really sure. Or maybe I'm about to tell a lie, or I'm embarrassed by something. I really don't know how this works. So those people who know me, and it really doesn't matter, I guess those people who know me, I really would like to speak to those people plus some strangers. So I had some major life-changing events over the past, I guess it's been a year and a half. And I get, what's the best way to say this, I suppose? I lost 2, let's just call them jobs, that were very important to me in terms of my identity, etc., etc., etc. Sometimes I feel like the superannuated man. I can't really remember who wrote that essay now. I don't think it was Charles Lamb, but somewhere in that space, in that time frame, English writer, talking about retirement and stuff like that. Retirement was never on my mind, but I've sort of been kind of quasi-forced into it, although I'm doing various projects and such. But it's been a rough time, and I have begun to indulge some sort of extracurricular hobbies, particularly over the past 6 months. It's been particularly hard, or harder, the more I move away from that time frame. So I'm going to share some of my empties with you. I like wine, cheap Barefoot Riesling wine. I also like Lambruscos and stuff like that, but here's another Riesling wine. And oh man, apricot brandies, apricot sours made with apricot brandy. I love apricot brandy. And these aren't plugs for products. It's just when you make apricot sours, apricot cocktails, it's absolutely fascinating. I like things that make you feel warm and fuzzy. And it doesn't matter what those things are, whether that's food, whether that's drink, whether that's types of art. Not really sure. Wasn't a really big fan of vodka, but I've gotten to enjoy some vodka here lately. Excuse me. Some more of this. My favorite indulgence for a long time in particular over this past 6 months, I've kind of gone through it a little too quickly, I suppose. I buy too small of bottles, I guess. Is that I love Grand Marnier liqueur from France. I love it. Love it. Love it. Just love it. Can't help myself. Let's see. I'm just going to do whatever it is I do. For those of you who don't know me at all, I always used to describe myself as a teacher, poet, guide, right? And then I tack on some things. Now I'm a independent scholar, poet, guide, artist, filmmaker, etc., etc. I make stuff. You know, when you trace back the etymology of the word poem to its original Greek or Hebrew, poem means something made. So I've made some things. I've made hundreds of poems over the past couple decades. You know, several decades, I suppose, but over the past decade in particular. And before that, probably dozens. And I've been relatively successful with that sort of stuff. Anyway, I wanted to read something brand new to you. This is something that I have made. Now, this is going to be, this is how I would read this in a live reading. This poem has a particularly long title. So after that particularly long title, there will be sort of an awkward or very obvious pause before the poem actually begins. Just so you can see the device on the page, it kind of looks like that. Okay. Long title, and then the poem. Here's the title. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'll start in a minute. I'll read the title first and then head on into the poem. So this is from just a month ago, really, almost November 4 of this year, 2019. Imagine a painting of a blue room with subtle, half-inch wide, vertical, yellow pinstripes. The ceiling is black, bespeckled with small white stars. A solitary figure is there. The light suggests that it is dusk. The jester jests himself now as he twists in to turn the screw, to tighten the rack against his own blackening mind. He eats the marrow from his own cracked bones and smiles and smiles and smiles. I've written and read a lot of my other poems in various different platforms. There's this live thing I do called This Is Was TV on Facebook Live. Haven't done that in a year. But part of that is sort of a show and tell and the reading of poems. I've made some other stuff here lately. Actually, this has been in the making for a long time, but this is the thing I just referenced. This Is Was TV. It is a collection of some of those. This Is Was TV live on Facebook's things. Here's the descriptor right here. Extraordinarily hard to watch, but hang in there. There are exactly 26 seconds of measured brilliance. And that's probably true. The whole thing is over 2 hours. You can watch it sort of episodically in sort of, 30-minute chunks. And then there's some interesting extras at the end. But I made this. Here's the back of it. Oh, something's falling over. Let me catch this. Here's the back of it. Yeah. There's some descriptors. This was TV is part Lyceum lecture and part performance art. So says Ian Scott McCullough, producer and director at Annotation Films. A near Beckettian exploration of the spoken word, says assistant professor and scene designer constructor Tony Morton, MFA, up there at Western Kentucky University. Here's another one. Chopson provides those existential questions the contemporary world attempts to distract us from. So says Drew Jordan, a PhD candidate somewhere in the South now. I think he was at Georgia State, and now I'm not really sure if he's still there or not. But there you go. I made that. It's finally came out, I guess about a in March, it finally made its appearance in that sort of form. I've made some other things recently. This is called a measured strip of signs. There it is on the back. Right? Title, a measured strip of signs. I've been fascinated with semiotics, semiology, the philosophy of language for a very, very long time. And I was also, when I was a child, a very big fan of Ben Casey. And in the beginning of Ben Casey, a man would come to the board, chalkboard, is a very interesting looking professorial type character. And he would write these symbols on the board, right? This is man, woman, birth, death, infinity. And then I've collected an additional 6 symbols that I just happen to love. The most I love, it's everywhere, it's the Aboriginal, what I call the Aboriginal swirl. I like it because it reminds me of that poem by Rainer Maria Rilke, Ich lebe mein Leben in wachsenden Ringen, I live my life in widening rings. And there's it's bespeckled with sort of goldish paint. You can stick this on your wall, with a couple like sticks of putty or chewing gum, or keep it sitting on your desk. It's a conversation starter whenever you want to talk about semiotics. We're surrounded by semiotics. I could talk for an hour and a half regarding McDonald's and Starbucks and Burger King and all of those symbols. Here's something else that I've made in my live performances, which is a variety of, sort of a Dada-esque lecture with all sorts of weird and unpredictable elements in it. Boy, if it's not your cup of tea, I would suppose that seeing one of those is just an awful experience. But if it is your cup of tea, you'd probably love it. And so that lecture series is called Reenchantment. And during those lectures and or performances, even if they're musical performances, I always hand out what I call reenchantment pennies. Yeah, see? Enchantment pennies. And they are your basic penny from various years. I have one here from 1976. Right? And then this one is from 2018. Right? So the backs are quite different. You have the shield-like thing on the back of this one. And then here, you have the Lincoln Memorial. And I love these reenchantment pennies. I have spray painted them gold. And I love what they speak to. They're just a great reminder. Everyone should have a penny in their pocket. And if you have a reenchantment penny, which happens to be spray painted gold by me, it lets you know, oh yeah, that's that special penny. There's the man, that is a great symbol for this country, speaking to equality, et cetera, et cetera. And the circularity of the coin itself reminds us that time is indeed circular, not linear. And it also reminds me, of the Aboriginal swirl, which reminds me of Rilke. I live my life in winding rings, etc., etc. So I've made a bunch of these pennies. And I've written a piece called The Waiting, which I read in my live performances before I give these pennies away, which speaks about compassion and marginalization. People have to endure a type of poverty that most of us do not, especially if you're watching this, you probably don't. But I love the fact that, too, you get these little gold flecks on your hand when you handle this stuff, Just love them. So I've been making these too, right? The enchanted pennies. I like how when you paint them up like that, it takes the normal coinage cling 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 to a different space. It makes it more subtle. And then finally, I have made this. I absolutely love it. Look carefully inside there. Let me read the back to you. Okay. Here's the front. Here's the back. Each one has the description on the back because that is indeed part of the piece. So bear with me. It's called Invisible Bird with Cage, Tango, Tango 1. What are its components? Tango, tree products, gold nectar, incantations, and ink. So I will read the back. The tango is native only to the slightly inland coastal areas of the Black Sea in Constanta, Romania, the tree-rich canal zones of Utrecht in the Netherlands, the foothills of the Alps in Freilassing, Germany, and select creekside locations in Gallatin, Tennessee. Tangos are beautiful, yet mostly invisible, soulful, soft-singing, small-winged creatures of the night. During the summer of 2017, Chopson gathered in the last 101 of this endangered species from these locations in hopes of finding permanent safe homes for these eternal yet fragile creatures. Each tango is only 1/4 of the size of a hummingbird. They're able to fly easily and freely in and out of these primitively manufactured homes. Tangos are highly desired food to hundreds of other species. Thankfully, tangos are invisible. The cage is designed to keep others out, not to keep them in. They are highly elusive, but always return to these specially crafted homes, which serve as frames through which to view them. Although invisible, tangos are known to occasionally emit a faint orange-yellow glow when securely at rest or when taking flight. When well cared for, tangos are known for bringing extraordinary luck, love, and peace to their human hosts. I made this first one in August of 2019. Invisible Bird with Cage, Tango, Tango 1. So I've been making things, and I just thought I would share those with you. And plus that brand new poem. I have this website, www.kevinmarshallchopson.com, where it's like a place to put all this artistic stuff. Anyway, this has been good for me to speak some things out loud. I hope maybe there's been something for you there as well. Have a great day.